Welcome, spicy ladies. She moves like thunder, silent until she speaks. You think you know what you're in for, but when a Sigma female steps into a room, the ground under your feet trembles without warning. She doesn't broadcast her intentions or fish for approval. That unreadable expression isn't apathy. It's calculation. Every second she lets you feel the silence is a moment she's mapping your fears and deciding whether you pass her unspoken test. That quiet intensity is terrifying because you never see it coming. You might be a Sigma female yourself. You've chosen depth over surface, solitude over spectacle, and you've honed the rare skill of observing without revealing too much. You prize honesty but speak only when your words matter. You trust instincts more than crowds and build your own code rather than borrowing someone else's. These traits don't just make you mysterious. They make you resilient, self-aware, and fiercely free. Whenever she tests you, remember you both share that same compass pointing to self-mastery and emotional awareness. Remember that challenges aren't obstacles. They're invitations to prove to yourself how far you can go. So don't shy away from her storm. Stand firm in your own convictions and let her challenge sharpen your edges. Respect her autonomy, and she'll respect yours. Keep your emotions honest and your boundaries clear. Embrace the tension between you as a sign that you're alive and let it drive you to grow stronger. In the end, the same force that makes her intimidating is the force that makes you unstoppable. Trust that you're built for this, dear spicy ladies. But before I give you these signs today, let me request you spicy ladies to hit that subscribe button. If you love what I do, I bless your heart. Let's dive into 11 things why people see you as terrifying. Number 1. Mental jujitsu. Mental jujitsu feels like you're sparring with a shadow, one that knows your every move before you make it. Picture this. You lay out your case, confident and clear, convinced you've anticipated every counter. Then, in a heartbeat, she reframes your logic so precisely you wonder if you ever said what you thought you said. It's not just debate. It's a mental backflip that leaves you off balance, scrambling to recall your own words. Here's how it plays out in real time. You mention how you value honesty, how you've always been straightforward. She tilts her head, smiles softly, and recasts your honesty as a refusal to empathize because you only speak truth when it suits you. Suddenly, your proudest virtue becomes your blind spot. You pause. You doubt. You replay that conversation in your head, convinced you misremembered your own stance. That's the core of mental jujitsu. She doesn't launch a frontal assault. Instead, she uses your momentum against you. Your certainty becomes her opening. Your carefully chosen words become the very evidence she wields. It leaves you stuck in a loop of "did I say that? Was I unfair? Am I overreacting?" All while she watches with a calm, almost clinical detachment. Why does this feel so disorienting? Because most of us learn to defend by reinforcing our position, by digging in and repeating our points louder. But with mental jujitsu, doubling down only hands her more leverage. Her strength is in redirection. She'll let your argument carry her, then spring the trap you never saw coming. Recognize this tactic, and you strip it of its power. Slow down. Call out the reversal. Wait, you're saying I only speak honestly when it helps me. Force her to articulate the twist. Expose it under light, and it loses its mystique. Ground yourself in your own words, not the echo she's created. Next time she flips your stance, don't chase your sanity. Anchor yourself to your truth. Speak with intention. Question her reframing. You might just see the gears turn, and suddenly her mental jujitsu isn't scary at all. It's a dance you can learn to follow step by step. Number 2. Secret arsenal. It starts with a whisper, the offhand comment you made at 2 a.m., when the world was dark and your guard was down. She's been listening. Every hesitation you've ever confessed, every doubt you've mumbled in confidence, is filed away. Not in a dusty old journal, but in a living, breathing dossier she carries in her mind. That time you admitted you'd never felt good enough? It's there. When you casually mentioned your ex still haunts you, she stored that, too. Each secret becomes a sharpened arrow, ready to fire the moment you slip. Imagine sitting across from her at dinner, comfortable, leaning forward, sharing a work setback. She nods, letting those words sink in. Weeks later, in front of friends, she drops an innocuous question. So, how's that project you said you might fail at? Suddenly, your private moment is exposed. twisted into a punchline that lands you on the defensive. You stammer. Your confidence fractures. Half the table senses something's off, even if they can't pinpoint what. That's the power of her secret arsenal. She never bullies you into a corner directly. Instead, she quietly harvests your revelations and redeploys them like a strategist in enemy territory. She watches your reactions, catalogues your triggers, and knows exactly which button to press when she wants to test you. It's not cruelty for its own sake. It's a lens into control and boundaries. She respects her own privacy enough to expect the same from you. So when you overshare, you hand her the keys to your trust vault. Here's the twist. Once you see the pattern, you reclaim your power. You learn to measure your disclosures, to keep some pages unturned. You build a mental firewall, honoring honesty without handing out ammunition. You practice phrasing fears not as vulnerabilities for her arsenal, but as stepping stones in your own growth story. And when she tries to access those old whispers, you'll have the clarity to shut them down with a calm that's not up for debate. In that moment, you transform from target to equal, and her secret arsenal loses its edge. Number 3. Absence epidemic. Ever notice how one person's absence can warp your entire day? It's ruthless beyond belief. Your morning coffee goes from bold and steaming to dull and pointless because she's not here to hear your latest story. Those tracks you picked last night now feel like cheap knockoffs. She's not here to nod along or send that same emoji. It's more than missing someone. It's an absence epidemic. She slips out of sight, and suddenly every familiar corner of your life feels off kilter. The couch where you laughed over inside jokes now echoes with silence. Your commute playlist, once your secret soundtrack, turns traitor. Each lyric feels hollow, like your own voice lost without hers to validate it. When you pass your favorite coffee shop, you stop mid-sip because who are you sharing that moment with if not her? That emptiness shows up everywhere. You check your phone, hoping for a hey that never comes. The group chat goes on without you. Each message is a reminder that life moved on in her absence. Even chores feel pointless. Doing the dishes feels less satisfying if there's no one to thank you for dinner. The act of going through routine feels heavy, like you're dragging a shadow of her behind you. What's terrifying is how fast it spreads. It infects your thoughts. You start rewriting memories, imagining you're more alone than you are. You double-check old photos, scrolling for signs she might reappear. It's an itch you can't scratch. No closure, just a vacancy that swells. Time you think you're over it, but in that void lies a challenge and a gift. When absence becomes the loudest presence, you learn to fill the space with something stronger, your own voice. You rebuild rituals around your needs, not hers. You gift yourself a new playlist, one that reflects who you are without waiting for her approval. You savor your coffee because you deserve it, not for anyone else's sake. The absence epidemic tests you, and if you're smart, you'll use the cure hidden in its lesson, discovering how complete you can be when she's not around to see it. Number 4. Daring catapult. Friday night, she looks up from her laptop and says, "I'm quitting my job at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Want to come?" Welcome to the daring catapult. It's her signature move, dropping a live grenade of spontaneity into your lap and watching to see if you catch it. 1 minute you're scrolling social media. The next, you're booking last-minute flights to a city you barely know. It isn't thrill-seeking for kicks. It's her way of cutting through comfort and revealing who's truly in sync with her wild pulse. Picture this. At dawn, she straps on a parachute and nods toward a tiny plane. "See you at 12, she says. You freeze, phone in hand, heart racing. Most people bail before wheels leave the tarmac, retreating to safety's familiar embrace. But she's gauging more than your guts. She's measuring your willingness to dive in when the stakes spike without warning. Then there's the "I'm packing a bag" challenge. She announces she's moving countries next Monday. No lease, no plan. You blink at your coffee, imagining your life unspooling into suitcases and solo nights in hostels. If you tag along, you're proving loyalty not just to her, but to the promise of a partnership built on radical trust. When she leaps, she's looking for 2 things: authenticity and alignment. Authenticity because she expects you to feel the same rush of fear and excitement. No polished calm, just raw reaction. Alignment because her path is rarely straight. It's a jagged line that demands someone who can pivot on a dime. If you hesitate, it's not judgment. It's data. She's mapping your boundaries, how far you'll stretch for connection, how much you'll risk for shared adventure. And if you don't follow, you'll know it in the silence that falls after the engine's roar fades. Here's the truth. Not everyone is built for the catapult. But if you're the rare one who smiles at chaos, who hears her let go and answers right behind you, you're not just surviving her tests. You're proving you belong beside her on every unpredictable leap. And that, in her book, is the only way to fly. Number 5. Gaze guillotine. You haven't even finished your sentence, and then it happens. That look. No words, no shift in posture, just a subtle tilt of the head and eyes that cut sharper than any insult ever could. You feel it before you fully realize it. Your confidence gone, your momentum stalled. It's not rage or disgust. It's worse. It's silent judgment, straight to the gut, like your entire being was just scanned, dissected, and found lacking. All in a second flat. That's what we call the gaze guillotine, a quiet yet lethal tool Sigma females use without even flinching. They don't need to yell. They don't even need to speak. With one calculating stare, they can reduce your ego to dust and leave you wondering what just happened. And the worst part? You'll feel like they saw something in you that even you missed. It's terrifying because it's so surgical. This isn't wild emotion or messy confrontation. It's precision. You'll be mid-brag, trying to impress, and one cold glance from her makes you instantly self-aware. You hear your own words echoed back in your head, and they sound ridiculous. That laugh you forced, that subtle flex, yeah, she caught it all. The gaze guillotine doesn't come from malice. It comes from standards, high ones. She sees through masks, filters, and performance, and she has zero interest in playing along with anything fake. Her silence in that moment? It's her way of saying, don't waste my time with less than real. Most people crumble under it. Some try to overcompensate. Jokes, explanations, sudden charm. But here's the secret. The only way to survive that stare is to own your flaws, drop the act, get honest, and match her energy with raw self-respect. If she sees you owning your truth, that guillotine turns into a green light. But try to fake it again, and she won't even blink before slicing through the illusion. Because one look from her isn't just judgment. It's a test. And most people fail before they even know they're being watched. Number 6. Identity metamorphosis. Remember her laugh? The one that filled the room? Chances are, you don't, because she's already traded it in for something sharper, quieter, more intentional. That's the power of identity metamorphosis. It isn't a sudden twist. It's a slow, almost invisible evolution that week by week peels away the person you thought you knew and reveals someone new, someone who didn't need your permission to change. At first, the shifts are tiny. A new hobby here, a sunrise run instead of late-night drinks, a subtle change in wardrobe, a tailored jacket instead of soft sweaters. You might praise the fresh vibe, unaware you're cheering on the first brush strokes of her self-reinvention. You think it's for you. It isn't. It's for her. Then come the bigger moves. She swaps friend groups, not out of drama, but because her values have quietly realigned. Conversations that once sparked laughter now feel shallow, so she drifts toward people who match her new wavelength. You notice her phone lighting up with messages from names you don't know. You ask about them. She smiles and says they get it, and you realize you don't. By month 3, she's experimenting with language, phrases you've never heard, references you can't place. She's reading books that weren't on her shelf before and quoting ideas that twist your worldview. You try to engage, but you're stuck in the old narrative while she's drafting an entirely new script. Finally, the reveal. She's launched a personal project, a blog, a business, a creative endeavor. And the themes are not you. They revolve around independence, reinvention, self-sovereignty. You skim the about page, heart sinking. Her pronoun for you is past companion. She's not erasing memories. She's just living a story where those memories belong to someone else. That's the climax of identity metamorphosis. It's not betrayal. It's growth. Her growth. And it's terrifying because it shows how optional you were in the first place. But here's the secret. Watching her rebirth can inspire your own. If she can redesign her identity brick by brick, so can you. So don't mourn the person she was. Celebrate the person she's become. And ask yourself, what chapters of your own story are ready for a rewrite? Because metamorphosis isn't exclusive. It's an open invitation. If you are a Sigma female and you already watch video until now, which means you love it, hit that likes, which motivate me. Number 7. Sigma females can shapeshift. She walked into the room looking like your best friend. 10 minutes later, she left feeling like a complete stranger. That's the art of shapeshifting. For a Sigma female, she doesn't literally sprout new limbs or change her face. She recalibrates her entire vibe so smoothly, you forget who she was 5 minutes ago. One moment, she's laughter and warmth. The next, she's icy focus and unreadable calm. It feels like watching a chameleon upgrade itself in real time. Here's how it works. Imagine you meet her at a coffee shop as the easygoing confidant who nods along with your weekend stories. You think you've found your person. Then, as the topic shifts to ambition, she tightens her posture. Soft smile replaced by a spark in her eye. Suddenly, she's speaking in crisp, strategic terms, market moves, goal setting, personal metrics. You blink, wondering when your chatty friend turned into a high-powered strategist. That flip? Pure Sigma shapeshift. She uses this skill to test you. Will you chase the old persona, craving casual banter, or will you match her new wavelength and dive into deeper territory? Most stay stuck in the first mode, missing the invitation to level up. She's watching. Can you adapt, or are you anchored to yesterday's version of her? Shapeshifting also guards her boundaries. When she senses you pushing too close, she morphs into the Ice Queen, minimal words, measured gaze, emotional distance. You rewind your last sentence, heart pounding, trying to figure out what you overstepped. But the real point? You learn fast to respect her space because she's already shifted again before you recover. The most jaw-dropping transformation happens over time. She might start as the carefree artist, painting in watercolors, then become the disciplined athlete, crushing morning workouts, then the philosopher, journaling on human nature. Each phase feels like a different person, but it's all her, evolving, never static, refusing to be boxed in. What makes this terrifying and magnetic is that you can never fully predict her next form. She's proof that identity isn't fixed. It's a spectrum you can navigate at will. And if you want to stick around, you'd better be ready to shapeshift alongside her or risk being left behind in last week's story. Number 8. Sigma females scan their environment constantly. Eyes everywhere, yet you never feel watched until you do. That's the Sigma female superpower. She's scanning every corner of the room, every shift in tone, every flicker of expression, all without a hint of obviousness. It isn't paranoia. It's laser-focused awareness. While you chat, she's logging details you didn't know you revealed. The way your foot tapped when you were nervous, the half-smile that betrayed your excitement, the tiny pause before you answered that question. Imagine walking into a party. Most people look for friends or the snack table. She's mapping alliances. Who drifts to whom? Which voices carry weight? Where the weak ties lie? A tossed-back laugh isn't just amusement. It's data. A whispered sidebar isn't just gossip. It's intel. By the time you notice her assessing the room, she already knows where the power hubs are and whether you belong in them. This constant scanning isn't superficial. She's attuned to emotional undercurrents, the barely audible sigh when someone's story falls flat, the quick glance exchanged between two rivals, the microtremor in a speaker's voice when they stretch the truth. She files each observation, tone, timing, context, into her mental database, ready to retrieve it when she needs to navigate conversations, diffuse tension, or assert boundaries. That level of awareness can feel unsettling to someone unaccustomed to it. You'll catch her watching you mid-sentence and freeze, wondering what she spotted. Did you reveal more than you intended? Is she judging, or simply noting the truth? She's preparing. Every insight she gathers shapes how she interacts with you next, where she'll lean in, where she'll pull back, which topics she'll pursue or avoid. Here's why it matters. Most of us drift through social situations on autopilot, reacting to stimuli as they hit us. She doesn't react. She anticipates. That gives her a strategic edge in negotiations, relationships, even casual banter. She knows when to strike up a topic that will light you up and when to switch lanes before things go stale. For anyone who wants to connect with her, the lesson is simple. Be genuine and be aware. Your authenticity is on display. She's watching for cracks in the facade and treasures honesty. If you match her vigilance, listening as closely as she does, speaking only when necessary, you'll earn her respect. Otherwise, you'll remain a subject under her scrutiny, never quite sure what she's planning next. Number 9. Sigma females intentionally keep a low profile. She's the one you never see coming because she made sure you never would. That's the power of keeping a low profile. A Sigma female moves through rooms like a shadow, unassuming and quiet. She isn't hiding from life. She's choosing when and where to show up. While everyone else clamors for attention, she masters her craft in the background, letting the noise drown out any hint of her next move. Think of her as a calm lake at dawn, mirror smooth, indistinguishable from any other stretch of water. You might skim a stone and expect ripples, but get none. Beneath that surface, though, currents are shifting, and she's already charting her course. She studies the spotlight seekers, noting their weaknesses, watching how they burn energy on applause. Then she redirects that energy into goals only she knows about, keeping her plans under wraps. Keeping a low profile isn't about insecurity, it's strategic. She avoids the gossip mill, sidesteps the rumor mill, and never gives critics the ammo they crave. When people talk, they underestimate her. They share memes about the loud achiever, never suspecting the quiet one in the corner is the real powerhouse. And that's exactly how she wants it. Because when the time comes, she'll emerge with a win so big it rewrites the narrative. A promotion you didn't see announced until the memo lands in your inbox. A product launch that blindsides the market. A personal milestone like a triathlon or a published novel. A bold life pivot that makes everyone ask, how long has she been planning this? That surprise is her advantage. People who tried to undermine her, who wrote her off as just shy or just quiet, are left scrambling in the wake of her success. They realize too late that low profile was her camouflage, her stealth mode. Here's the takeaway. There's strength in silence. You don't need to broadcast every step. You don't need approval to move forward. In the hush of your own ambition, you build momentum they can't see. Then you decide when to let the world catch up. That's how you stay 2 moves ahead. And why anyone who masters the low profile is quietly, undeniably dangerous. Number 10. Silent victory lap. Hey, did you hear? She asks, long after you should have. By then, she's already crossed the finish line. That business? It's been live for weeks. That book? It's hitting the bestseller list tomorrow. That new language she's been learning? She's booking trips to use it. And you're left blinking, headphones in hand, half a sandwich on your plate, wondering how you missed the whole thing. That's the silent victory lap, her stealth mode for success. She doesn't post progress updates or tease big announcements. No hype, no countdown timers. Instead, she works in the background, laser-focused, while everyone else is busy liking, commenting, and getting distracted by the next notification. Then, when you least expect it, she strolls into your feed with a quiet, "Oh, by the way," and drops the news like a MIC drop. The crowd goes wild. Yesterday's trends feel outdated, and you're stuck trying to play catch-up. Here's why it stings. You measure time and milestones, 6 months to launch, a year to write a book. You track others by their public failures and tentative drafts. But she measures time in dedication. She's many hours into that project by the time you see the first teaser. While you were waiting for an update, she was stacking words, chapter by chapter, sale by sale, skill by skill. And the bigger the goal, the quieter the build. She knows that noise attracts noise, doubts, opinions, trolls. So she mutes the world, guards her process, and keeps the spotlight off until the trophy is in hand. Then she lets the achievement speak for itself. Watching her silent victory lap teaches you something crucial. Results drown out noise. Next time you plan a big move, consider dropping the public diary. Work in the hush of your own ambition. Protect your momentum from the echo chamber of external validation. Then, when you emerge, the applause won't be about your promises. It'll be about your proof. Because real triumph needs no soundtrack, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing you did it and the look on everyone else's faces when they realize you've already won. Number 11. Intellectual monolith. She just went quiet, and suddenly you were an alien in your own living room. That's the intellectual monolith at work. One moment, you're trading ideas about weekend plans. The next, she's vanished into a realm of thought so dense you need a map, a translator, and maybe a Sherpa to find your way back. It isn't rudeness. It's a signal. Her mind has shifted gears into a dimension where small talk can't follow. Here's how it unfolds. You ask a simple question. What do you think about that movie? She pauses. Not the casual hesitation we all do. This is different. Her eyes go distant. Her brow smooths into focus, and you realize she's diving into layers of symbolism, narrative structure, and philosophical undercurrents you didn't even know existed. You try to jump in, but your words feel like pebbles tossed at a fortress wall. That's because she's built a mental stronghold, an intellectual monolith inside. She's juggling abstract theories, dissecting motives, and weaving connections across disciplines. She might be pondering the societal impact of AI one moment, then sketching out the emotional geometry of human relationships the next. It's exhilarating for her. For you, it's terrifying. You're left stranded outside the gates, watching the drawbridge rise. Why does she do this? Because depth is her playground. Surface-level chatter feels like chewing cotton candy, sweet but empty. She needs the weight of real substance. Retreating into her monolith recharges her. She's gathering the raw materials for her next big insight. And if you want to rejoin the conversation, you have to earn your passage. So how do you bridge the gap? First, don't panic. Silence isn't rejection. It's an invitation. Show genuine curiosity. Ask her to unpack one thread. You mentioned narrative structure. What grabbed you most? Force the drawbridge down by acknowledging her depth. Admit when you're out of your league. I'm lost, but I want to understand. Watch her face soften when she realizes you respect her inner world. Here's the payoff. When you navigate the monolith, you don't just get answers. You discover new ways to think. You'll catch glimpses of ideas that reshape how you see work, relationships, even yourself. And in that shared expedition, you transform from outsider to fellow explorer, forging a bond that only those who brave the depths can know. Stay sharp. Stay true. And let her storm be your proving ground. You've seen how a Sigma female silence can cut deeper than words, how her shifts in shape and thought can leave you reeling, and how her absence can turn your world inside out. These moves aren't meant to break you. They're unspoken challenges designed to reveal who you really are. When the ground shakes, if you're a Sigma female, these moments are your arena. Your strength lies in matching her depth with your own self-mastery, meeting her unpredictability with calm conviction. When she vanishes, use the quiet to sharpen your focus. When she stares you down, let honesty, not ego, be your shield. When she dances through ethical grey zones, let your principles be flexible yet unbreakable. Remember, her power comes from knowing herself so well she can rewrite the rules at any time. Your power comes from knowing yourself just as deeply. Stand firm in your values, but stay open to growth. Let her tests be your lessons. Let her surprises be your invitations to rise higher. In the end, surviving her storm isn't about outdoing her. It's about becoming the version of yourself who can walk through fire and emerge unscathed. That's the true mark of a Sigma male, unwavering conviction wrapped in adaptive resilience. Embrace the terror, learn the lessons, and let both of you become unstoppable forces, together or apart. Thank you for watching, Spicy Ladies.